Well, thank you so much, Mr. David Hardie. How are you this morning?
Great, Janice. Thanks for the opportunity to talk with you.
Yeah. So, on the Facebook page, CrossFit Over 60, we like some diversity, and there are interesting people that come up along the way. I've known of you or about you in CrossFit for years, but to get to see some of the posts that you make, I find that very interesting. So, thank you for indulging me.
You got it.
All right. So here's what I do know, and then you can fill in a little bit of the blanks.
Sure.
My understanding is you started CrossFit in 2013.
That's right. Good
Uh,
research.
uh, and so what was your background in sports in general? Because many of us do, and particularly if they're as successful as a games athlete as you are, started with something. So tell me about your background growing up pertaining to sports.
Well, sure. So I guess in high school, my primary sport was baseball, but I also ran cross country and did 1 year of football as a senior. Um, After college, got started in triathlons and did them for 2 seasons. But my last one was, geez, 39 years ago was my last triathlon. After that, I guess nothing competitive or terribly serious, although fitness and working out was always important to me. And when I started CrossFit in 2013, I had been doing things like P90X
Hmm.
and boot camp classes and those kinds of things when I finally walked into a gym in Bedford Hills, New York, called CrossFit Bedford Hills in May of 2013.
And what even got you in the door?
I had seen an ad, a Reebok ad about CrossFit, thought it looked interesting, needed to wait for some plantar fasciitis to heal before I went in for the first time. And then
Hmm.
this gym opened up. It was brand new. And my wife, Marissa, said, "Hey, let's go give CrossFit a try." And I fell in love immediately.
So has Melissa continued to do CrossFit with you?
No, Marissa moved
Marissa,
into
sorry,
yeah,
Marissa.
she fell in love with the weightlifting side of CrossFit and is now an accomplished master's weightlifter and official in she just for example was the head of the I guess it's the USAW Open whatever in Reno last week. So she spends her time going out and officiating at weightlifting meets and I do my officiating at CrossFit competitions.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. What was your not worst. I didn't say that. What was your first thought when you went to a CrossFit class and you saw WOD written on the board? I mean, did it look as much like foreign language to you as it did to me?
Oh, totally. I remember Googling all those things. Like, what does AMRAP mean, EMOM, etc. But it was a new gym, and most of the athletes were new to CrossFit, so we were kind of all learning it together and doing the YouTube searches on okay, how do you do a kipping pull up and all this stuff. So it was a fun time.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me a little bit about growing up, somebody's influence in your life, whether it was a parent or somebody else close to you, told you that fitness was a good thing.
Probably my dad. My dad was ran a lot his entire life. I mean, I can remember going, when I'm 8 years old, going to the track with him and just watching him run around the track, and so it seemed important to him and became important to me.
I have a similar story, not to get in on your time, but I have four grown children, and my second one, my daughter Signe, ran cross country Division 1, and she had some very serious records in high school, and it all came about because I would go run around the track, and she was the only one of the four that wanted to try and keep up with me. So she'd be talking to me and running, and then talking to me and running. And then
Right.
my youngest daughter, Melissa, who has had a little more experience at the games than most of us. She was in a playpen. Those were the days of a playpen, and it was in the middle
Sure.
of the track. But yeah,
That's awesome.
somebody gave us an identity for that. So you have a new sport, though, and I would have to look up the name, but you tell me what it is. It's in
High
my
rocks.
notes, but
High rocks.
high rock.
Yeah.
Okay,
High.
tell
Yeah.
us about high rocks and
So
yeah.
I'm 66 now. I had my shoulder replaced in September of this past year. And so my CrossFit competitive career is probably over. I mean, maybe I could figure out and relearn things like handstand walking and bar muscle ups and all of that stuff. But for right now, it's not a possibility. So, so my CrossFit focus has become judging, and I've been really fortunate to work many of the biggest events you can think about. You know, short of the
Hmm.
games, although I hope to do the Masters games this year, but that's been an amazing experience. Competitively, my focus has shifted to high rocks. High rocks originated in Germany in 2017. Think of it as CrossFit and Spartan racing having a love child. That
Okay.
that's high rocks. So it's um, 8 1,000 meter run. Every event's the same. They're
Oh,
all indoors in major cities and convention centers. You run 1,000 meters 8 times, which totals 5 miles.
so
At the end of
runners like this sport.
it is a running dominated sport. Um, After each run, you do a fitness station. So the first one is you ski for 1,000 meters, skier. Then you push a 335-pound sled for 50 meters on the second one. Then you pull a 225-pound sled for 50 meters on the third one, and on it goes. There's rowing, there's farmer's carry, there's lunges with a sandbag.
Whew.
There's the worst is burpee broad jumps. Think of burpees and then jumping. That's like the only thing I never did in high rocks that was not in CrossFit is that. And then it ends with 100 wall balls, which is just misery.
Oh,
So anyway, so I've done 2 of those now. I'm qualified for I'm ranked second in the world in 65, 69 year olds. And I'm going to Nice, France in June for the world championship.
that's just too cool.
It's a cool sport. It's huge in Europe, getting big here. This season, 175,000 athletes did races somewhere around the world. It's something people should check out.
Right, right. I remember reading a Facebook post that you had that said there was 4 things that were really good about Hydrox. Am I getting that
High
right?
rocks, high rocks. There's no D,
Okay.
so high rocks. So there are
No,
four key
no
moments.
water. It's high rocks, right? And one
There are
was
four
the
key moments.
start. There's only 4 letters, right?
Well, there's four key moments in a high rocks race. There's the
Yeah,
start, there's the finish,
yeah.
there's the podium, and then there's the day later when they send you all the photos that they took, and they do an amazing job and use facial technology to pick you out from the 2,000 other people that are doing it that day.
Oh,
Incredible.
oh, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I have a brother who's an elite, world-class mountain biker. And when I would go, I'd travel all over the world to watch him race. I would forever miss him coming around the turns because,
Yeah.
I got a lot of photos of other people, but oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. All right, super. So you have sometimes had some physical challenges just like the rest of us, right?
Sure.
How did you address those? I mean, mentally, it's all mental, but
Yeah, well, I got some help from a surgeon actually. So I've had three shoulder operations. My left rotator cuff repair in 2018, and was very proud and pleased to be able to qualify for the games the following year, 2019. In 2000,
you won the Granite Games at
I won the
2019.
Granite Games. Yeah, I won the Granite Games, and then made it to the CrossFit Games and ended up eighth there.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, I apologize. Is that post-surgery or which came first, the chicken or the egg, the surgery or
Yeah,
the
the
wins?
surgery was in June of 2018, and then August of 2019 was the games.
That's
So a
pretty
year later.
amazing.
I got a lot of help from a great coach.
Yeah,
Shout out to CJ DePalma, who's a
yeah.
physical therapist and one-on-one coach, and he got me through that. So so one operation there. 2020, I had a bicep tendinosis on the right shoulder. The surgeon came in afterwards and said, "Great news, your rotator cuff looks good, but the bad news is you've got no cartilage left, you've got arthritis, and you're going to have to replace the shoulder at some point."
Mhm.
So struggled through for another 4 years, and last September had the shoulder replaced. And so that's what so I've had three big interventions there.
And you said somewhere to me in the communication that that shoulder's like a teenager, but it's the arthritis in general that's hard, right?
Yeah, yeah. The rotator cuff repair is a teenage shoulder. The other one became a really old shoulder, and is now, you know, trying to get it back to mobility and strength that it needs to have.
Yeah. So I'm going to close here, but I'm going to ask you for some wisdom on on maybe what it takes to keep moving forward and to not get discouraged if you're not at the same podium level or at the same events, right? I mean, because you've experienced the highs of highs in a whole, different arenas. And didn't you, I mean, so fun. But now what? What would you tell the rest of us that are not always, it's not always a PR each year, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I used to believe that, saying that age is just a number. Now I don't believe that
I don't
anymore.
believe it either.
Yeah. There's no, I challenge anybody who's 65 to compare their results to when they were 60 to when they were 55, because we lose strength, we lose VO2 max, we lose all of those things. So, the key is to get those as high as you can get them, and then
Yeah.
to kind of moderate that decline. But I guess my point, and maybe I'm experiencing this with CrossFit, is even if you think that competing is over, there are things like judging, which has been phenomenal. And there are other sports out there. I thought I was going to go back to triathlons, but as soon as I learned this high rocks thing, I said, wow, there's a whole new field, a whole new thing to learn, a whole new way to train. And so I think it's just finding new challenges like that. And many of them, like high rocks, is highly participative as opposed to trying to be competitive. Lots
Mm.
of people do it, to finish in 2 hours, 2.5 hours, whatever it takes. And so there are opportunities like that out there for all of us.
So my understanding is they don't change the weights based on age group.
No, there are two divisions. There's the pro division and the open division. And the
Okay.
open division, we all do the same weight. So I'm doing the same weights as the 24-year-olds, which, can become a challenge on things like the sled pull and the sled push. But
Mhm.
no, they don't scale for age.
All right. So what would you say is the most likable trait about other CrossFitters? I mean, how come when we find out they're in the room, we just kind of want to talk about CrossFit?
Oh, wow. Because we know that they value hard work and believe in taking care of themselves as a way to take care of the broader community. That they tend to be more progressive, more young thinking than others. We have a common language that we can speak. All of those things, I guess.
Yeah. I, I couldn't say it better. For me, when I find out someone does CrossFit, I know they're not going to see themselves as a victim in the situation. And people that make excuses bore me. And you really don't want to bore me. That's not a good thing. So anyway.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. You're the first. I'm going to do a couple of these just so we get to know some of our members. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice.
All
Bye
right.
bye now.
Bye.